Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, JessBCreativeCardiology. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Today is part 2 of yesterday's Farmhouse Florals paper pumpkin kit. So what happened, you may have noticed if you watched part 1, which was recorded on YouTube Tuesday, I streamed for over an hour. I made all of my projects only to realize that YouTube had cut me off and only recorded 25 minutes out of the hour plus of content that I had recorded. So today is not necessarily a redo, but I do want to share those projects with you because I thought they were quite amazing, and I've got a whole slew of alternate projects, and unfortunately in part 1 you only got to see one of them. All right, so in today's video, I'm not actually going to do step by step, but I am going to show you each of the projects and tell you what I did, give you some instructions, all right, rather than actually show you every single step, okay? So this video should be fairly concise, but it is the actual, all of my alternate projects for the August 2025 Farmhouse Florals paper pumpkin. All right, so thank you for tuning in again. I hope you enjoy these projects. And if you do, please give me that thumbs up, like, subscribe, and I really appreciate it. So let me flip the camera and let me show you all the amazing stuff that I created for you. Okay, so here we go. Flip it around. So I actually worked quite a bit with the alternate projects. So the Farmhouse Florals was the August paper pumpkin. It was a bonus because it came with 2 stamp sets. So what I did for my alternates, I really wanted to show you some ideas on how to use this fun little teapot stamp and the flowers and the whole array of sentiments here. We've got some Secret Sea ink, which is amazing, some twine, and all of those goodies. All right, so there was a full kit. Refills are available still in Stampin' Up's online store. And since yesterday, I did sell the one remaining full kit that I had. So unfortunately, you missed that. But if you'd like a refill, which includes everything except for the stamps and the ink, I can assist you with that. All right, so in yesterday's video, this was the card that you got to see. This was project number 1. All right, I did Lost Lagoon card base with a layer of 4 by 5 1/4 Lost Lagoon, and we took our stress out and we distressed the edges of this cardstock. We wrinkled it, we tore it, and then we stamped with some pretty peacock ink. On here, we colored with the Stampin' Right markers to create the multicolored flower image here for the typewriter. And then that was a little heads up that the markers are being discontinued by Stampin' Up. So if you need any of the in-color markers or any of the full color sets, now is the time to get those because they are on last chance. All right, so this was project number 1. We used the typewriter, we stamped a little flower here, and sweet and simple. All right, so we followed up with a second typewriter card for the next project, very similar, and this time we stamped with the pretty peacock ink directly onto the card front. And with this, we took the card from the kit and we die cut it with our Everyday Arches dies. Okay, so I used size number 4. Okay, if you're counting down from largest to smallest, this was the 4th size die. I cut it directly from the card in the kit. I did stamp a little just a note there on the front, and that was it. That was sweet and simple. Layered some basic white on the inside. All right, so these were our 2 alternate typewriter cards. Okay, really sweet. All right, next up we have the windowsill. All right, this beautiful little country kitchen windowsill here. And what I did is we took a dauber, all right, sponge dauber, and I had inked it up with some pecan pie ink. All right, that was one of the colors listed in the kit. So sponge dauber and some pecan pie. I did ink the edges here just for a little added Distressing. I mounted this on a card base of Calypso Coral. Right, so just a half sheet of Calypso Coral. And the Barnwood Designer Series paper, that is the Country Woods Designer Series paper. That was cut to 4 by 5 1/4. All right, we mounted our windowsill on top. Little tag here with a hello, a little bit of twine from the kit, and some basic white inside. I just love that, it's so sweet. And the Calypso Coral card base makes the little geraniums stand out. All right, second windowsill project, I dug some more of the Lost Lagoon out. That was my go-to, one of my go-to colors here. All right, is the Lost Lagoon. This time, I took the back half of this Naturals white cardstock. I don't know if that got recorded in yesterday's video or not, but the card bases in the kit are a Naturals white, which means they do have these little speckles and things all over them. That is that is how they are made, okay? You didn't get a defect. That's not fly specks. It is a Naturals white cardstock, which is meant to look more like handmade paper, okay? And, oh, I got a visitor. Hang on just a second. I'm doing a redo of my video, so thank you.
You want these garbage bags to go?
Oh, yeah, but you can't lift them, they're too heavy. Yeah, so don't worry about it. Okay, so we're talking about Naturals white cardstock. So since I cut the typewriter out of one of the card bases, I used the back half, trimmed it down to 4 by 5 1/4 to mount it here on my Lost Lagoon. I did stamp the little background stamp, right, the little background stamp here. And some Secret C there on the back. And I placed my tag a little bit differently. All right, it does have that blue stripe already on it and a little bit of that torn edge. And then I did add a little bit of twine there with a glue dot. Again, super sweet, inked the edges there with the pecan ink. And I'm really happy with the way that turned out. I thought that was super sweet. So we've got a couple with the typewriter here, couple of the windowsill there. Okay, and then we have the kind of the burlap tote bag. So what I did on this, I used my Textured Notes dies. Okay, I used the largest of the Textured Notes. This is the full card front size, and I completely die cut the front of this card. All right, so I used the front. Die cut that, mounted it on some Darling Duckling cardstock, along with a base of pecan pie. And then a little tag up here with a little twine. And then I used some of the little flower die cuts and I just popped them up down here at the bottom. That way it kind of balances everything out. So I thought that came out really sweet. Of course, the Darling Duckling highlights the yellow flowers. Nice and bright and cheery. All right, the second of the burlap bag card. Now this time, because the handle is a little die cut, and you cut one of the mini dimensionals in half, and that way it gives you a little piece to go behind each of the handles there. And then I used an assortment of the die cut flowers and just popped them up, kind of filled my bag. I thought we had a lot of white space over here, so I put a little flower over here, and we had some room here for those nice sentiments. You get a whole variety of sentiments here with this kit. And so I did stamp that with some early espresso ink. All right, there we go. We have that, and then you can use, what I did is I used the backside of, since I used the die cut the front of the card, I trimmed down the back for this one, okay? So Calypso Coral card base, just a half sheet, a layer of crumb cake at 4 by 5 1/4, and then I trimmed down that back half of the Naturals white card into 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. All right, so those are my alternates from the actual die cuts. All right, that as kind of my take on how they were designed there. All right, so the next series of projects, I did a whole little 4-part series using the teapot and the die cut flowers and some of the little sentiments in here. Okay, so this was these are the bonus projects. For these, I used the Unbounded Love Designer Series paper that is currently on last chance, but I thought the floral images on here matched the stamps, the shape of those flowers perfectly. Okay, so you can get the Unbounded Love. That coordinates with the 2024 to 2026 in colors. All right, so our colors here were Summer Splash, Petunia Pop, and then the lighter color is Pool Party. Okay, and then the ribbon as well, that is the Petal Pink and White 1/4 inch diagonal trim combo pack. All right, it's a twofer. You get both the roll of the Petal Pink and the white, 2 for 1 in here. It's 163,417. This is also on last chance. All right, so I did check. These products are still available. However, the Unbounded Love paper and the diagonal trim ribbon are on last chance. Okay, so first up here, we have card base of Pool Party, a layer of Summer Splash at 4 by 5 1/4. The Petunia Pop is 3 3/4 by 5. And then for the designer paper, this is 2 by 3 3/4. All right, I did tuck the ribbon behind those layers. All right, just a little simple knot. And for these three, I used the circle from the stitched shapes. And on the last one here, the square, all right, that's the largest square from the stitched shapes dies. Okay, so what I also did, I stamped the teapot on a different pattern of the Unbounded Love Designer Series paper and fussy cut that. Okay, there is not a die for the teapot. It is very similar in style to a set called Tea Time that we had about 4 or 5 years ago. However, that stamp and die were, I believe, a bit larger. Okay, so it's not the same. There is no die. All of these were stamped and then fussy cut. Okay, I stamped the flowers straight on in Petunia Pop and did my little sentiment down here in the corner. And then you can use the single flower, stamp a little bit on the inside too. All right, so just kind of similar design, but change the layout a little bit. This time we did 2 inches by 5 1/4 for the Designer Series paper, layered on some Pool Party. Again, we have our stitched shape circle, stamped the flowers in the Petunia Pop, and used another pattern. All right, you have all the different patterns in the Unbounded Love, so I pulled in different styles. This time I stamped in Summer Splash. Okay, and again, little flower on the inside. Here we go. This time I cut this one at 4 1/4 by 11, right? Because I have my Designer Series paper going the full length of the card. So this is 3 by 5 1/2. The Petunia Pop is actually 3 1/2 by 5 1/2. Tied a little bit of that diagonal ribbon around it. This one I did color with my markers, color the stamp with my markers for a multicolor image, and then stamped, again, another pattern here of the Designer Series paper, and stamped that in Summer Splash right on there. So this one's just a little bit different. Okay, and then one more portrait style card. All right, I had just a little sliver of this particular pattern of the Unbounded Love paper, so I used my snips, cut a little flag in the bottom, and tied some of that ribbon around there. All right, put our Designer Series paper here as a background, and then the square. All right, so the stitched shapes square, or stylish shapes, excuse me. This is right around 2 and about 2 1/2. Okay, so I went a little bit larger there with the square. So I believe that is 2 and It's not quite 2 3/4. I believe it's 2 6. Yeah, actually it is 2 3/4. Okay, 2 3/4 for that petunia pop square. Okay, just enough here to stamp my teapot on that same pattern, pull the whole thing together. Oh, I missed stamping a little flower inside, but but you totally could. And you even have room, you could do a little sentiment, stamp that down here if you like. All right, but I hope you enjoy these projects. Thank you for tuning back in. I'm sorry yesterday's video cut out, but I did want to share these with you because I thought these teapot cards came out super cute. Like I said, I used bright summer colors here with the Unbounded Love Designer Series paper, but we have so many different patterns papers, and I'm sure you've got some in your stash too that you could pull out that would work really nicely for these projects. All right, and again, this was a great kit. Loved this kind of late summer blooms. It's really beautiful. We're still enjoying every moment of summer we can here in the Northeast. I know kids are already starting back to school in a lot of places, but we're hanging on to summer as long as we can. So enjoy these Farmhouse Florals. Again, if you enjoyed it, don't forget to give me that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to tune in next month. The September Paper Pumpkin Kit has an autumn toile theme. It coordinates with a full suite in the mini catalog. That's the September to December mini catalog that comes out on September 3rd. All right, so until September 3rd, I'm not allowed to show you the inside yet, but there is a whole suite that will coordinate with the September Paper Pumpkin Kit. Again, you have until September 10th to subscribe to that or opt out if it's not your thing. But there are going to be some really pretty foil accents and little die cut foxes, little red fox. I think those are going to be super cute. I'm excited to see what that kit looks like and encourage you to check it out too. Oh, good. Glad we have a few comments. That means the video has recorded. I apologize if I sped through this, but I wanted to make sure I got to share these with you without the video cutting out on me again. Not sure what happened there. I had everything set up, but it was just a glitch, and sometimes that's how things go. So thank you, and I look forward to stamping with you again soon. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.